I'm Lisa Scottoline, and this is
Francesca Serritella.
And we are doing our first ever Google Plus Hangout, which we are totally excited about. And we're in their offices with their technology and their geniuses.
Right.
And we're here just to kind of hang out and answer questions that people send in and talk about our books and then each other and then more about our books and each other.
Does that make you feel so cool to say hang out all the time?
I think the Google part
she's feeling really young right now. This is awesome.
Plus we got our hair done, which is do we look good? Because that's very important. Because we're both single. Maybe a misuse of the... Anyway, so what we're going to do is be very serious. And our friend Laura is going to ask us questions that actual live readers sent in.
Yeah.
And, so here we go. Laura, ask away.
So, Lisa and Francesca, how did you decide to write together? Asked Jolynn.
Jolynn,
Thank you,
question.
Jolynn. Yeah. You know, it kind of just happened. I know they always say that. What does that mean? But my mom was writing this column in the Philadelphia Inquirer called Chick Wit, and I was a senior in college still. Right. And when I saw that she was going on tour,
Harvard. She went to Harvard.
Thank you. And when she was going away, I saw they weren't running anything. So I started to think, maybe I could submit something. And you were writing so much about me. It seemed fair that I would get to say something.
That's really what happened. That's really the part. Because like any mother, I'm obsessed with my kids. And I do think that it sounds like I said kids when I only have one. I know puppies, but so I have.
You're
one.
obsessed enough to have like 3 children. I just all focused on me.
But like we end up writing about the mother and daughter relationship because I am a single mom, but like any mom, I really think I have a great kid. And so what started to happen, I wrote so much about her in this Chick Wit column, which is really about like life from a woman's point of view. Just funny. If you remember Irma Bombeck, it's a lot like hers, only updated. And so many people started writing in and said, listen, you write about your daughter, Francesca. Do you ever let her speak for herself? And I said, of course not. But then she started to write.
So I started to submit, and then it just grew from there, and it realized that we had sort of had more fun writing from that mother-daughter perspective, and me being newly on my own and her being newly an empty nester. And now that was 5 years ago now, but it's just been something really fun to collaborate on.
And the cool thing is that you can read these columns because they are our beloved publisher, St. Martin's Press, collected them in the world's cutest. This is like the best cover ever.
Right?
Is it not?
It's too small to see, maybe. But look at this cute. The latest one is Meet Me an Emotional Baggage Claim, with this cute puppy coming out of the little tote bag, because we take our dogs everywhere, including our emotional baggage we take everywhere. And yeah, it's great because when you just are obsessed with animals, you can put them on the cover of all your books. It's really fun.
But the really fun books that are about, I think they're what we like to have fun. So there's a lightness to them. Each little essay is about 2 pages, so you can read them wherever. I want to say on the toilet, but is that okay?
Do you have to do that?
Well, it's
people
like
live busy lives. They don't have to be on the toilet to read something short.
What can I tell you?
It costs me on the subway.
Not everybody uses the subway.
Well, okay.
All right, wherever you want.
We
don't want to mandate where you must read us. We just hope you read us. But the point is, they're short and they're fun and to the point. And I think also, whether you're 50-something like me or 20-something like her, you'll identify, because I think we're writing a lot about the issues that are common to women and families. For example, what it's like to be in the sandwich generation like me. I mean, I have a great daughter on one hand and a great mother on the other, and both strong-willed, and both of which, all 3 of us are like combustible. So that's kind of what the books are about.
Yeah.
So, Francesca, is your mother as funny at home as her column suggests, says Libby?
She is actually funnier. I would have to say that we laugh so hard about the dumbest things, sometimes inappropriate things. So she said we're more polished in our writing. But we've always been able to laugh together. Even as when we fight like cats and dogs, it usually ends up just with us laughing. So she's absolutely very funny.
But the thing is, she is really funny. I mean, I think that she is the funniest person I know. And even though we don't live together because she grew up,
we only amuse each other. It's like I feel like we're the funniest to each other. We just try to be funny for other people and write.
Right. We bore everyone upstairs, and I'm divorced twice. So what does that tell you?
But it's funny. We watch like dumb Bravo reality TV shows like Real Housewives, and we text each other. Like we basically just goof on it the whole show to each other during the TV. So it's really it's fun. Even though I live across state lines, we can still.
And she's usually G-chatting with friends while we do that, so we can even have like a girl loop of what do you think about Yolanda.
It's important.
So Rachel asked, Francesca, what's the most embarrassing thing your mother has done?
The most
5
embarrassing
minutes ago
thing,
when I said about the toilet.
or when she says, "Do you know the G unit? Do you know the G stands for gangster?" She always uses as me. It's just like, this is like 8 years late. She's late on that. I know, fascinating. No, the most embarrassing thing, truthfully, she doesn't embarrass me too much, or she didn't when I was a teenager. Like, we were cool when I was younger. It's more now when it's supposed to be easier. Like, for instance, sometimes we're the same size, which is awesome because she's a cutie, and just I get to sometimes wear her fantastic shoes, and it's usually really great. But sometimes she wears, she'll buy the same clothes as me. Like, if we get the same pair of jeans, she'll get the same exact pair if I discover a new brand or whatever. And for the most part, that's fine until she got the same exact nice blazer, and we were going on our book tour, and she thought it would be really just cute if we both wore them to the signing on the same night.
Because the truth is, remember, we were going to go on tour together for these books, right? To talk about them.
Yeah.
And that's a cool thing. We're lucky to have a publisher that will send us around the country. But she's a normal young girl, and so she didn't really have, I think you should wear a blazer when you do something profesh. So I was like, remember I said, let me get you this blazer. You didn't have the blazer first. I had the blazer.
No,
I bought you the blazer.
You're very kind. She gifted me the blazer first, but neglected to tell me that she was also buying it for herself.
Well, it looks so good on her.
Right. No, I'm not. So she's gonna try to pin it like I'm being ungrateful. I'm not ungrateful. I'm very grateful for the gift. It's just that you need to wear them to the exact same signing on the same night.
Why not? I thought it was kind of cute.
She thought it would be cute. Like,
I think it's cute.
Not cute. That's embarrassing.
I straight up think
but
it's
luckily,
cute.
I was able to tackle her before we got to the bookstore, or at least me take off the jacket. As usual, I was the one who had to cave and change and not wear the jacket that night. So I was saved from total humiliation.
I know, but speaking to the mothers out there, what is cuter than dressing like your daughter?
At
You're wearing
26.
not that
It's
I'm
really
going to wear
cute.
like mini skirt and go-go boots. That's very cool, by the way.
Yes.
But I mean,
Somebody's Googling go-go boots right now. What is go-go boot?
all right, you get the idea. Maybe we should go to the next question.
Okay.
So Nathan asked, do you have any plans to write a fiction book together?
A fiction book together. You know, we don't. We definitely don't have any plans to do that now. I don't see that in the future, even though that might be an interesting experiment or project, because I think one of the things I feel so lucky about writing these books is that my mom, even having a mother who's an author, which is obviously a huge inspiration to me. I mean, you know that. It's really true as a writer. But she has also given me my own space to find my own voice writing. For these columns, you know, or essays, these essay books, we write the essays separately, then we put them together. So I get to have my own point of view, my own perspective, my own voice. And that works for these because the sort of the differences between us are the whole book. That's what the whole point is. I think in fiction, you want to tell a more cohesive story.
Right.
And I don't know, I think that would crowd us a little bit more.
Right.
But I really just admire her fiction so much, and I am hoping to write a novel of my own soon. So it's certainly, I feel like I've drawn from her, even if we're not actually writing together.
And I think it's kind of great because when you read these, we call them nonfiction books, you get you get her voice and my voice. You see the similarities and also the differences. I mean, every mother wants her child to find her own voice, figurative, whether they're writing or not. And it's sort of cool because you get the perspective, like, and I don't even know what she's writing about. So that we handed to our editor at St. Martin's one of the collection that she was writing about that she loves to read the wedding announcements. And coincidentally, I wrote one where I love to read the obituaries. And I'm not sure what.
Both of us need to read less and be less neurotic. That was the moral of the story. But yeah.
But I never would have known that but for her writing that. And you probably would. Did you know I read obituaries?
No, that really bummed me out.
No, it's a happy way though. It's a story of people's lives.
Well, turning to fiction, Cedra and Sandy both ask a similar question. And the question's for both of you. How do you conduct research for situations or characters when you do not have access to the resources you may need? Lisa, do you want to answer first?
Well, I think I'm a big fan of write what you know. So in the main, I sort of know what I'm talking about. But if I have to do research, I love it. For my crime fiction books, I hang with homicide detectives, which is totally fun, much more fun than it sounds. For one of my novels, Don't Go, which features an army surgeon from Afghanistan. She sat down with an army surgeon from Afghanistan. And also read everything I could on the subject. I think it's sort of like any research you do, you're going to filter. It's almost like a food processor. This is not a good analogy. But you basically You're going to filter it through the lens. That sounds more literary and pretentious.
Yes, the lens.
You want to
just use the word lens.
So true. Everybody with the lens. Okay, we're going to filter it through the lens. What lens? The lens of
the
lens.
viewpoint, the perspective.
Thank you.
We're getting far away from
Answer
the
the
point.
rest of the question.
No, go ahead.
You're
So when
doing
you're
great.
looking at through, I don't know where you're
No,
going.
but you're right.
Really-
Whatever you learn, but the point is the research never drives the bus. You drive the bus. The book drives the bus. So you use the research, but you're really putting it in a viewpoint of the main character or whatever character you're using.
Yeah, and growing up, I really got to watch my mom, who has always been so dedicated to doing really firsthand research. I mean, like she said, she would go to these places, go to the locations, because to a certain extent, you never know what detail will stand out to you and jump out to you, and only you have that story's perspective, like you were saying, in your head. So I certainly think that just getting your butt outside and has been great, and you've inspired me to do that. At the same time, though, sometimes you can't do that. Like, you can't always, it's not so easy. You couldn't go to Afghanistan. You were able to find someone to sit down with. But I do use the internet a lot. I use just looking at images. You know, I remember she was trying to say, oh, I have to schedule time to go to the hospital or something to see inside a ambulance. And I was like, Mom, image search. Google image search right now.
That's true.
Inside an ambulance. You don't need to actually go inside an ambulance. And it's amazing. I mean, you get to, I look through, for characters, inspirations on how they look like, what they look like, because it's funny, but when you're writing fiction, sometimes you forget what your own character looks like. You forget, oh, did I make their eyes green or black? I will just maybe look through just any like profile pictures of different people, and I'll just grab them. It sounds really creepy. I'm like a weird catfish person. No, but you know, if somebody inspires me or just a certain look, and try to pull from all different sources, and also reading. You know, I'm currently working on a novel that's about a young woman whose older brother committed suicide, and I was really anxious, like, do I have a right to write about that if I haven't had a sibling and lost somebody in that way? But I did have, you know, people a little more distantly to me, and that's what inspired me, who lost someone. I really just read a lot of memoirs and a lot of stories of people who had that experience, and just tried to really empathize. That's what all fiction is, just sort of sharing that art perspective, and that was my research. Ended up being a more emotional research, and it was great to get inside other people's heads.
Well, Vince asks, Lisa and Francesca, when you sit down to write a book, do you put all your ideas down first, and how do you keep track of the characters' names as you move along with the storyline?
Well, that's good because we have two different ways to do it.
Yeah.
So I do it the really dopey kamikaze way.
That's not true.
It's kind of true.
Dopey.
Like, you know, people say, do you know how your book ends? I don't even know how it ends. I don't know how it middles.
That's why you can't guess it. It's why she's such a good mystery writer.
So
I think
true.
it's kind of brilliant that you can do it that way.
And, like, it's bad when the surprise ending comes as a surprise to the author. Like, it's not supposed to work that way. But I'm like, oh my God, that will totally work. Sounds real impressive.
No, yeah, I mean, I think so much about writing is just figuring out your comfort level, and I have just found that I'm a person who has a little more anxiety at the beginning of writing a story than my mom does. Might be experience, maybe I'll feel differently, but starting out, I just feel more confident writing if I have some sort of outline or idea. The fantasy of having an entire perfect outline for a novel, that would be great. That's just often too hard to do, so I don't have that, but I'll just sort of do a big, giant brainstorming brain dump in a Word document and just filling out, this is what I think I want to write about, this is what I think I'm feeling about this character that I'm envisioning, and that just sort of, it's sort of a mental game. I don't know if that's necessary. I really don't believe that there's any hard and fast writing rules.
Right.
You have to do this to write well.
I totally
It's
agree.
just like whatever lets you begin, and that's what helps me begin. But I really admire that sometimes what you've taught me is that sometimes you just have to start writing, even if you don't have the perfect plan, you will figure it out. So.
Well, I think sometimes, especially women, they feel like not ready, like I'm not ready, because it's sort of a risk, and it's scary to go, I'm going to try to write something and try to get something published, and for me, it was difficult in the beginning.
Right.
But I think that, you know, the sort of rationale for people who start and just don't really know where it goes is that you sort of hope that it's not that one isn't better than the other. For example, because if I sat down and wrote an outline out, I would think that writing the novel would feel like Mad Libs. You know, like, I'm going to fill in blanks for the rest of the year. I just think that would be really boring. And I secretly hope that it all turns out in the end. You're usually more anxious if you don't have an outline, which I think is true.
Yeah, and it's just, sometimes that's just part of it. There's a great quote about writing that I try to remember myself, that's, writing a novel is like driving a car at night. You can only see as far as the headlights, but you can make it the whole way home that way. And I think that's sometimes helpful to remember, because when you feel like, oh my gosh, like, or maybe you have an idea for the ending, but you don't really know what the middle is, and you feel like you can't get started, you can, because you can just, it's just one step in front of the other, and if you can sort of just see a little bit far ahead, then you're set.
So on that note, Patty asks, what do you both do when you're absolutely, completely stuck on an idea for a next chapter?
Oh.
That happens a lot. That's a thing that happens.
Right. I take a shower. I've told
Yeah.
I sort of think there's I work every day, 7 days a week, from most of the morning till Stephen Colbert, who I have a crush on.
Who doesn't?
So basically, sometimes though you have to look away, and so I feel like sometimes when you're stuck, especially if you're writing, like, the humor columns come easier, but even sometimes with them, I just go, I'm going to take a shower, I'm going to walk the dogs, I'm going to eat something. If you want it to come so hard, it doesn't come, and also sleep. It's crazy to say, but I honestly think when you're writing, you need to be in training. You need to get sleep. You need to not go out and party. You need to have routine. And a lot of authors I know say that routine really helps. It helps your body get used to when I'm going to need to, like, help her write this stuff.
Yeah. And something my mom always says that helps me, I try to think about when I get really stuck with what's going to happen as the next chapter, is to try to remember that you're just telling a story about a person. Everybody has a main character. Every story has some sort of main character. So don't think about what is the next super fantastic set piece chapter that's going to come next. That's too hard, and it's kind of divorced from the story. If you think, what does this main character, what is she going to do next?
Right.
Even if it's something sort of perfunctory, like, well, has she had a meal all day? Has she eaten anything? Well, then she might have to go eat something, and then maybe something can happen there. That sounds really silly, but it will get you to rewriting. And then if after you're over that hump of just being stuck, you realize, wow, I didn't really need her to go to that restaurant, or maybe that restaurant wasn't an interesting place for me, then you can figure out how to fix it afterwards. It will just get you unstuck. Or if, you know, she had that meeting, if it's writing somebody in school, like they would have to go to class, or writing a lawyer, they might have a case. You know, just sort of what is their daily life, to ground it in reality and sort of just get you over that hump.
Right.
Well, Nat writes, and asking Lisa, I would love to hear about the challenges of writing from the perspective of the opposite gender in Don't Go.
Dun, 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 dun. Well, I've been writing for, I guess, 22 years now, and I sort of started because I wanted to see the kind of, in print, the kind of women that I was, strong, fun, smart women that I was surrounded with. My daughter, my besties like Laura, my mom, and it's way back then, especially in crime fiction, the women were kind of second banana, and to a certain extent, I think we still are. But honestly, but I'm on a campaign, but basically to tell entertaining stories that star women. Having said that, when Francesca grew up and moved out, I started to think more about what is a mother. From going to what is a woman and trying to define that as a subtext in these, what I hope are entertaining thrillers, I morphed into what is a mother. And how is that different? How are adoptive mothers different? Are they? No. Stepmothers, I've been a stepmother, I'm an ex-stepmother. And so then what sort of evolved into this book, which stars a male protagonist. I did it partly because I wanted to examine what is a father. I was very close to my own father, who passed away 10 years ago, and I sort of think that was a little bit on my mind. And frankly, I wanted to see if I could do it. I think it's really important if you're writing long-term, and aren't you lucky if you are, and thank you, readers, we both thank you. Let's break to say thank you, we love you, because, and I mean it, that you really want to keep it fresh for people. I'm writing 3 books a year, including the memoir, and there are people, God bless you, who follow me book to book. I never want them to feel like they've read this book before. So that means I can never write the same book, and that means I have to change what I'm doing. And so it was inspiring to sort of try to write a male main character, and so I got to fantasize about men, which was awesome. Like, this is him, he's perfect, only he's 30 years too young, sadly.
Well, he's not perfect.
I could
he's kind of a complicated character, to be fair.
He's complicated.
Yeah.
He's complicated.
Like, we always like the complicated ones. So.
But not dark, bad boys. No bad boys.
Truthfully, I really do admire how my mom stretched with this book, because I mean, I said this to my friends, you're past the point in your career that you have to take risks. It's easy to take risks at my age starting out because you really have nothing to lose and you got to start somewhere. But you established this great career writing with these strong women, and I love that with this book you wrote about kind of a vulnerable man, strong too, but also in a challenging time, struggling. And there's still strong women, so it's not like we've abandoned that. But in the world, the two coexist peacefully, and it's good that you're
right.
like that.
All we need is the strong women to meet the strong men, and then make strong babies. And
This is going weird now. Let's try it. Yeah.
Next.
So Lisa and Francesca, you both are writing fiction and nonfiction at the same time. Is it hard to switch your brain from one to the other?
Genius questions.
That is a good question.
I know.
Do you want to start this?
Okay.
It is hard in that these essay books that we write together, the nonfiction, are light and fun, and the novel I'm working on is more dramatic and can be more, sometimes has a heavier heart than this book. And so there are different in tones. So sometimes it can be a little hard to switch into it, but truthfully, it's like a welcome break. I really enjoy getting to change, because you never feel in one mood every single day. And it's also just such a great chance to have the different length of the pieces. A novel is really just a long marathon. And I've been working on this for almost 3 years, and these are shorter essays, get sort of punctuated, where you get to actually finish something, and that can be so satisfying. And also that to get it out to readers is so satisfying, because we've done 4 of these books, and it's a weekly column still in the Philadelphia Inquirer. So it's just terrific that I get to have that interaction with readers. I'm a writer that really enjoys that, so I feel very nourished by having both.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I think I've always written about smart people. I think I write for smart people. Or smart people like me. Dumb people don't like my books. You can all go away. I only want the smart people. And I think that when you put smart people together, they tend to be witty. So I think there's always been humor even in the thrillers. You know, there's a girlfriendy relationship, as there would be, or the men and the women who are together love each other's wit. They enjoy making each other laugh, like any relationship. So it's not that there's a murder mystery is a ha-ha, but there's generally a vein of humor in it. Now, the truth is, that's what's so fun about Francesca's absolutely right. It's really fun to just write with humor, like in the memoirs. You go, you know what? Now I'm just going to be really silly. I'm going to write about the green jacket, or I'm going to write about how much it sucks that they're talking about, you know, at airports, what was it, charging you by your weight? I'm like, no, because it's already humiliating enough to take my clothes off in front of strangers. Here's my belt, dude. It's weird. So I want to just say that all the stuff that I always think of it as women talk about on the phone, and you know, women on the phone, A, never shut up, and B, laugh. That's it.
Yeah.
So, speaking of the nonfiction column books, is the next one expected to come out?
Summer 2014.
Yeah, we're moving to summer, which is fun. Otherwise, they've come out in Christmas, which we love because it's like such a cheery holiday time about family. But now we're doing beach time because they are just a fun, light read, and I think it's just going to be perfect for summertime. So I'm excited.
Right. I think it's really. I love the idea that it'll be summer.
Right. And then she won't be trying to get me to wear any blazers, so it'll be terrific.
Well, Francesca, we can't wait for your book to come out.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Lisa, what kind of plans do you have right now for new books coming out? That was asked by Sharon.
Sharon. Well, thank you, because Rosado. Thank you.
A little sneak peek.
Isn't it gorgeous?
Up here.
I have written a series about an all-woman law firm, and that was really what started me. And I think, you know, each one is an entertaining book. But really what you're examining is how do women behave in groups, kind of thing. And I've kind of missed, oddly, those characters. I mean, the line between fiction and reality in my life is completely... So I really missed those. I really missed Benny Rosado, Mary D'Annunzio, and Judy Carrier, and Anne Murphy. And also, God bless fans who said, we really miss those characters. Yeah. Can you write about them? So I thought, well, lacking a personal life, as I do, I can write 2 novels a year. And I really enjoyed getting back to them. So Mary D'Annunzio and Judy Carrier are back. It'll be out October 2013, right? Yeah, we're still,
right.
This is the
It'll
year,
be
is it
the end of
2013
this
now?
year. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not good at numbers. And so they're going to be back solving a crime, and we'll get to also see. One reviewer said something interesting. He said that the Rosado books are like a crime story with a family. And the standalones, which are like Don't Go, is a family story with a crime. A reviewer said that, and I thought, that's good.
Right. Yeah.
I know they're smart. When they like you, they're smart. When they don't like you, they can go straight to hell. But so in this new Rosado book called Accused, Mary D'Annunzio comes back and they solve a crime, but she also has to decide whether to get married and also if she's going to make partner.
Yeah,
Dun, 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 dun.
it's awesome.
Thank you.
This cool motif about bees and beekeeping. Super into it.
Well, Joan asked about the emotionality of the books, which applies actually to both of you, since you, Francesca, spoke about a suicide in your book. The question, and for Lisa, she was asking specifically about the end of Don't Grow. And what Joan is asking is, she's saying, do you get emotional when you're writing a story that particularly has made a reader cry?
No.
Do you want to answer first?
I'll go first. Yes, I'm a big crybaby. And if I always, I write the more emotional things late at night. And sometimes I actually use a Dragon software and speak it. Because if it's really emotional, it's hard to write. I just need to sort of say it. And
It's a dictation.
it's a dictation system. I mean,
Microphone? Okay.
yeah, I mean, and so it actually allows you, at least it's not the software, I have to access, I think in every one of my books there's an emotional truth to them, no matter what, right? And in the humor books as well. And so you really got to, I think of myself as an open book. You've got to access that emotionality inside to make anybody else feel it. So yeah, I get sad in the sad parts, and but I get happy in the happy parts.
Yeah, I found that to be true as well. I mean, I remember even when I'd be writing fiction short stories in college, my old roommate used to tease me that I would make faces while I was typing. I'd be sort
I've
of
seen
like,
you do that.
that I didn't mean to. It's just that, you know, you're trying to really imagine it. You're trying to experience it yourself. And I did notice, I mean, I absolutely felt like that in the writing of this novel that I'm working on now, which, like I said, is about a young woman whose older brother commits suicide, trying to get in that head of a suicide survivor, which is the term we use for the family members, not the person who committed suicide or attempted it, but the suicide survivors is actually for the friends and family of somebody who was lost that way. And I think that's so telling, just how the tragedy really affects everyone. And what I did was I felt like if I was going to write about that, I owed it to the people who have gone through this to pay extra attention. So I actually have an alert every time the New York Times and other organizations like that has a story about somebody who committed suicide. I get an email about it, and I just would read all of that. Like, I just lowered that wall that we all have to any bad news story you hear on the news. Like, oh, that happened to somebody else. That happened somewhere else. Let me just not think about that. That was their choice, easy out for feeling something about a suicide. They made that decision. And once I let that down, I just felt like I didn't have this protective wall anymore, and where now news stories actually just generally affect me more, and I find myself feeling it closer, and I feel like it's a real privilege that I get to do that, and feel very lucky, and I'm glad that that's happening, because I think there's that many walls up all the time. So I feel like it's been an interesting process, but it's definitely, I feel it.
We're sad.
Sorry.
Well, Lisa and Francesca, thank you for coming today and talking
Thank you
to
so
us.
much.
Thank
and
you.
congratulations on your books. But before we let you go, there are some personal questions people wanted to ask.
Personal.
Specifically about your gorgeous little puppies. What are the puppies' names? And are you keeping them all? And how do you keep track of them?
We have
Oh
so
my
many
God.
dogs.
Barb
between
and,
us.
Barb
We're
and
like,
June want to know.
We obsessed over naming this puppy. So my
we
mom's
should explain what the
King
puppies
Charles
are.
Spaniel. His name is
I
Peach.
have 5 dogs, and you have 1. Oh, I'm sorry.
Right. No, yeah, no, I mean,
No, you go ahead.
So anyway, I have one dog whose name is Pip, who I named after Great Expectations, which, because I'm an English nerd, so he had to have an English name. But I got her on, he's a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel, and I just got her addicted to them. They're like potato chips. You can't have one. So now you have 4 now.
I think 4. Yeah.
We'll just cut to the chase that you had yours, Peach, your little girl Peach one, had puppies. She had 3 puppies this summer. I think that's what she's asking.
Right. I think that's right.
And we obsessed over the names, because it was like, this is a whole litter. We get to name them all. Like, we have to think of a theme, or maybe we don't have to think of a theme.
Well, for a while,
Filled our brains.
I also had another
constantly.
Cavalier named Little Tony.
Yeah.
And then, because he has eyebrows, and then we were going to call him Little Tony
Tony
Eyebrows, and then we were going to have all the puppies named like mob guys. But then we
Right.
thought that would be not a
What
very
does it
nice
say that
name.
I wanted to name mine after, like, a character in English literature, and you were like, I want to name mine after a mobster.
That's so great to have like mafia names for dogs.
Right.
Everybody with all the cute names.
What would the National
But she
Times
went
everybody
with
would say?
I know they laugh. She went with she chose a name because she's queen of name shows.
Well, we really obsessed, but we picked like an American frontiersman theme. So we had Calamity Jane, we called her Jane. We had Daniel Boone, who we called Boone,
Boone.
and Kit Carson, and we called him Kit.
So we're crazy.
And
with the dogs.
sadly, I know we've gotten a lot of comments. People notice, are you missing a puppy? What happened was the daddy dog wanted a puppy. So that family that wanted to
To
have one
daddy.
of the puppies. Well, what am I going to say?
Well, the breeder.
The sire. I'm just trying to say the
Oh, I
we
see.
don't have the father. We don't know the father. No, we do know the father. It's very tragic. No, but so that the other breeder picked Jane to keep, which was heartbreaking. We tried to offer her money to dissuade her, and we couldn't. She really wants this dog. She's a wonderful, wonderful person. The dog, so Jane has a wonderful home.
And just so you know, we have rescue dogs too. And I have a rescue cat. I have 3 cats. I have chickens.
Right. We would never have bred
No,
the dogs if we
believe
didn't
me.
want all of
We're
them.
not
We
like
wanted
horrible
all of them.
people.
We're not trying to sell dogs.
I have a rescue pony. I've had a rescue husband, so don't even worry about it. I'm
But,
on to the rescue thing.
But yeah, so we miss Janie, but we have Kit and Boone.
That's a great advantage to working at home. Anybody who works at home, or it's wonderful. I think animals are really important, particularly if you sort of, you're alone. You're single, and it's kind of nice that no one's around to tell you can't.
People who are in couples also enjoy pets. It's not like just
I know, but
single
let me
thing.
tell you how many widowed people and divorced people really love animals, and that's why. And I only
It's true.
It's true.
But I'm just saying that I think animals enhance everyone's life, and honestly, most people's workplace. So we feel lucky we get to have them at our feet.
I started writing this book called "Why My Third Husband Will Be a Dog," because I started meeting a lot of divorced women who had they had 2 divorces, so they had 2 dogs, and they had 4 divorces, and they had 4 dogs, and I was seeing the correlation.
I'm glad your dog number outpaces your divorce number.
I know, I'm behind on divorce.
She's the Elizabeth Taylor of dogs, but not of divorces, so it's good.
I need to catch up.
Well, thank you. Congratulations on your writing and your books. And Lisa, don't go. Making number 2 on the New York Times. Congratulations.
So exciting.
And thank you for the support, and thank you, Google. We really appreciate
Yes,
this.
yay, Google.
Yay.